All right, let's talk about something that shapes pretty much everything in the global economy, but it's something most of us just never really think about. It's kind of hiding in plain sight. So let's dive in and figure this out.
Have you ever stopped to wonder why that is? Why would a company in Japan buying goods from a company in Brazil use the currency of a totally different country, the United States, to make the deal? It's a pretty fascinating puzzle when you think about it.
You know, it's everywhere. The US dollar is basically the financial backbone for the entire planet. It's the default language of global business. To really get why, we need to understand one key idea first.
And that idea is reserve currency. So think of it like this. It's the currency that central banks all over the world trust enough to keep in their national savings account. It's their rainy day fund. And for a long, long time, the US dollar has been the undisputed king of the hill. But how did it even get that crown in the first place?
To get that answer, we actually have to do a little time traveling. Our whole story really kicks off right in the aftermath of the biggest conflict the world has ever seen.
Okay, so picture this. World War II is over, and the world economy is an absolute mess. Everybody is desperate for some stability. So, in 1944, leaders get together at a conference called Bretton Woods. They all agree to peg their own currencies to the US dollar, which, and this is key, was backed by gold. This literally made the dollar the anchor for the entire global system. But then, in 1971, the US cut that link to gold. You'd think that would have thrown everything into chaos, but it didn't.
And this just shows you the incredible power of momentum. The world was already so used to using the dollar. All the systems were built around it, the contracts were written in it, and honestly, decades of it being reliable meant that trust itself had become the new gold standard.
So, okay, that explains the history, but what's keeping the dollar at the top of the food chain today? Well, it's not just old habits. Its power today rests on some seriously strong pillars.
And right at the center of it all, you have this one institution, the Federal Reserve, also known as the Fed. Now, its main job is to manage the US economy, but the decisions it makes send huge ripples through markets, from London all the way to Tokyo. Its reputation for stability is a massive part of the dollar's appeal.
So let's quickly break down these pillars. First, you've got stability. The US economy is just massive. It's the biggest in the world, which makes the dollar feel like a really safe bet. Second, there's liquidity. This one is huge. It basically means there are trillions of dollars sloshing around the globe at any given moment, so it's super easy to get them when you need to buy or sell something. Third, trust in history, which we just talked about. And finally, the system itself kind of locks the dollar in place.
And this right here, this is the crucial part of the puzzle. The most important stuff the world trades, especially oil, is priced and sold in US dollars. Just think about what that means for a second. Any country that needs to buy oil on the global market has to get its hands on US dollars first. This creates this constant, built-in global demand for the currency. It basically forces everyone to play in the dollar sandbox.
Now, this global reliance on the dollar isn't just some interesting fact for economists. Nope, it has huge real-world consequences. This is where finance turns into a powerful tool of geopolitics.
Yeah, really think about it. If you control the currency that everybody else needs to survive and do business, you essentially control the plumbing of the entire global financial system. And that gives you an incredible amount of power.
And this is where you see that power in action, because almost every major international dollar transaction has to pass through a US bank at some point. The United States has the ability to just block a country from the system. They can flip a switch. It's an incredibly powerful weapon that can cripple another country's economy without ever firing a shot.
And this is really the bottom line. Controlling the world's reserve currency isn't just a nice economic perk. It's a core pillar of American power and influence on the world stage.
So naturally, when one country has this much clout, other nations start to look around and wonder, hey, is there another way? So what's next? Are there any serious challengers ready to take the dollar's crown?
Well, in one corner, you've got the reigning champ, the dollar, with its deep bench of trust and just sheer unmatched scale. And in the other corner, you've got a few contenders. You've got the euro, which is the currency for a huge economic bloc. You have the Chinese yuan, which is growing right alongside China's economy. And then you have the wild cards, digital currencies, which could change the game completely.
But here's the thing. Trying to replace the dollar is a truly monumental job. A challenger wouldn't just need a strong economy. It would need to recreate that whole global ecosystem of trust, of easy access, of deep integration that's been built up around the dollar for more than 75 years. And right now, nothing else even comes close.
So when you look at the whole picture, you see that the dollar's dominance is no accident. It's a combination of history that gave it a head start, the trust that's been built over decades, the raw power of the U.S. economy, and its crucial role in how the world trades.
At the end of the day, the world just needs a reliable, stable way to do business. It needs a common language for money. And until something else comes along that can offer that same level of trust and stability, well, the dollar's reign is probably going to continue.
And that really leaves us with one big question. The dollar's throne looks pretty secure today, but the world is always changing. New economies are rising, new technologies are popping up every day. So the real question isn't whether the dollar is king, but for how much longer its reign is truly guaranteed. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.